codes for the candidates. Please come up to me, and I will be writing down your name to call you. Okay? And with that, we're going to start with our first question from Aggie.
Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the ASCC president for Iowa State's Chief of Staff. So those questions come into the exec office. This could be for anybody more. In terms of platforms, a lot of senators who start their term end up not going through or finishing any of their platforms by the time they term out. We really want to make sure that the senators who come in are productive and proactive. What will you do to make sure that by the time that you term out, you have completed at least 2/3, if not all, of your platform projects? Josh will be the first.
Well, thanks for the question. I think the benefit of having, and I've been criticized for this, a more broad platform, is that there are a lot more avenues within constantly looking at it. Again, my primary platform is police community relations, which sounds vague, but there are a lot of different components to that, including continuing increased attendance at the police community forums last year, and making sure that the community is aware of the rights that they possess when interacting with the police, and making sure that So to answer the question, that was a bit of a specific background, but to answer the question, I think my ability to perform well with my platforms and my secondary platform is increasing grad school prep library. Those are two different. One's more broad, one's more specific. Within a more general framework, there's a lot more avenues for you to reach out to more people.
David?
Sure. Thank you so much for your question. My name is David Belcher, and I think to answer your question, it really comes from the platforms. In my platforms, increasing student services like bike racks, like outlets in the library, things that will benefit student welfare, is very attainable and within ASUC's realm. We have a pretty big budget, and I think, a few, power strips in the library so that people can charge their phones. They're not that expensive, and it can get done. And in terms of increasing funding for clubs, all we have to do is tweak a few rules with CFC, and then students will benefit. And so to answer your question, I can accomplish my platforms because my goals are very realistic, they're very attainable, and I have the experience being involved with ASUC since fall quarter of my freshman year to get them done. Thank you. Once again, my name is David Belcher, and I'm running with the Smartest Label.
Thank you, David. Next one is Michaela.
Okay, so I think it's really important to elect senators who really do already have very well thought out plans, like a lot of us do. It's really important to elect people that have already researched it, who have already looked into the finances of it. I think it's usually a good thing if your platforms require very little finances, because when I was on external affairs, one of the roadblocks we often encounter in bills, we'd often get into long debates about it, were the finances of bills and how feasible they were within the $12 million ASUC budget. So I do think it's really important to have bills that have minimal finances. Almost all of mine require almost zero funding, so I do think that's really important in getting bills accomplished. And I also think it's really important that for those of us who do have similar bills, similar platforms that we're getting elected on, I do think it's really important that even if we do have political differences, to work with people who have similar platforms to be able to implement it together.
Next one, Adela.
Hi, so in regards to Shay's question, thank you so much for that question, by the way. I think that if elected, I will be sure to accomplish 2/3 of most of my platforms by the before I term out, because for my first platform, which is increased resources and retention for international students, it personally affects me. It is a personal issue that I want to see through, because I know that it doesn't just affect me, it affects students like Adam as well, and other international students on campus, and other international students on campus. Another one of my platforms is to combat food insecurity on campus, and one of those and one of my ideas was to actually start a paid-for program with food outlets in the CoHo, like Swirls or Chow, where you can buy a set of pizza for other kids, for other students in need, and I feel like that is something that can be accomplished really quickly. And before I ramble on, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Last one, Taylor.
So obviously the issue boils down to feasibility. I think we all kind of can agree on that. Doing something to increase transparency, like moving the meeting rooms from the third floor of the MU to someplace like the CoHo or another public area, is pretty straightforward and easy to do. Increasing sustainability, I'm a guy who works at the Whole Earth Festival, but trying to increase budget allocations to things like Project Compost, the CCE, Whole Earth Festival, decreasing our net energy. That's not something that's super involved, it just requires a little bit more work in that area. And then creating something like a Student Disabilities Commission, which is another thing that I'd be really interested in doing to improve accessibility. It's just a matter of getting everybody to agree that disabled students need to have more equal opportunities. I don't think that's something that requires a whole lot of effort to put in the work just to create the committee at least. Now whether or not maintaining it is a different story, but getting it out there isn't too much.
Okay. I was going to ask a follow-up question, but I'll save it for later. Next we have Adrian.
Hi. So, considering the 2020 initiative and the proposed increase of the student body by 5,000 students over the next few years, how do you guys plan on utilizing ASUCD to help the university and the student body cope with this very large increase?
Thank you for your question. With 2020 initiative, my target students, I think our units need more funding to keep our services going. Currently, we're trying to push through peer referendum next quarter to increase the student fee for ASUCD so the units get more money and keep providing the same services. As a student, you get $8 for ASUCD and to run the unit, but if the fee hasn't been changed for like a decade or so, with the fare adjustment and 5,000 students more coming to the we do need to have a peer referendum to continue providing the same services that we have. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much.
Georgia?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think this just relates back to student activism, like we all talked about previously. I think it's not fair to the students to have to pay more for a decision they didn't really have a part in. I think because of that, and the students weren't the ones saying we want 5,000 more students collectively as UBC, we should really lobby and we should utilize the fact that we're so close to Sacramento and go to our local representatives and tell them that in order to continue the UC system being like a thriving and world-renowned organization, we need more funding, not only for like our classes, but also for the other activities and great work that like ASUCD is doing in order to maintain a positive and an adequate level of student life as well. And Georgia Savage, basically. I'm sorry. Adam?
Hello everyone, my name is Adam. I don't think 5,000 students will be a problem because I think 5,000 students more by 2020 will actually give us more students here in ASUCD because we have more people and more people that will get into ASUCD, and I see that as a good thing because we have more freshmen and people with their own thoughts, and we have more different voices. So I think that's a good thing.
Next one is Dylan. Do you still want it?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, I got it. Next one is Nolan.
Yeah, I think a simple thing that we can do, because these are all difficult things that we're talking about. I don't know how feasible they are because they take a lot of time to get done. And I think it goes back to the first question. But I think a simple thing we can do is actually, as senators, adopt some of the units that have been neglected. If you look at some of the environmental units that ASUCD has on campus that senators should be adopting, you should be working with those units to see what they need and what can actually be done. So I think that's one of the first things as a senator I would do is look into the units that are being neglected and adopt those and take those on as my own.
I have a follow-up question to that. Are there any units right now that you think are being neglected and you would like to work
closely or work on improving?
I have a list in my bag that I need to get out of the 3 units. They all do the environment. So I don't have it in front of me right now, but you're on the Senate, so you're well aware of the units that senators have adopted, correct?
Yeah, I am, but I'm asking that you explicitly stated that there's units that have been neglected, so I'm asking which units you think have been neglected.
I'll say this time. I have it.
Okay. So we're done.
I just want to get back to the original question with the 5,000 students and what was that. 5,000 students, I believe it was for $25 million collectively, is the money that they're using in order to, kind of compensate for the increase in the number of students. The numbers have been run, and that is absolutely not adequate for 5,000 students. More money we'd need to have more money, quite frankly, in order to have capacity for these 5,000 students distributed throughout the UC system. And also when it was actually proposed, it wasn't, it was kind of a last minute proposal, like they said like, oh, $25 million, is that good? Didn't seem like it was well thought out, and it wasn't at the beginning as well clearly presented. So I definitely, going back to what I said originally, lobbying I think is necessary, and also showing that this amount of funding would not be adequate for the number of students, and researching that is absolutely necessary.
Just to answer your question really quick, Casey, basically the units that according to my knowledge, is Project Compost and Center for the Environment. So if you can attest if that's correct or not, but I don't believe those are senators serving on either of those units right now.
Tyler, did you have a minute?
No, I just wanted to say I totally support, I support what he's saying, and I really advocate for Project Compost and ECC getting it done.
Yeah, we had like the doubleness in place.
Thank you. We're going to move on to so we're going to limit each question to 3 candidates, and if you've answered already, we're less likely to. Thank you.
How's it going? So I noticed with a lot of candidates and slates, there's the idea of activism earlier. And I know a lot of slates and candidates have very activist approaches regarding their concepts, but lots of their tangible slate activities kind of go against that. For example, the idea of, I know there was the idea earlier of increasing funding for Greek life, but not having it go for the CCD. I also know there's another slate that has the idea of bringing little bees in campus, but then being against sexual assault. That's kind of contradicting when like Little Bees lyrics. And he has a song called Pay for Pussy. I mean, there's a lot of contradiction in a lot of the slates' ideas versus their actual actions. So, would any of the candidates think about revising their slates to kind of have more of a consistent idea between their ideas and their actual plans of actions? Thank you.
Jack's the first one.
Hi there, Jack Bull, Smarter Slate. So on my slate, we really have one goal, and that is representation. Anything that we have, any of our individual platforms don't contradict the idea of representation, because unlike many candidates sitting here at this table, I don't consider myself to be a member of any one particular community. I don't consider myself to be a representative of any one particular community. Whatever those causes may be, I consider myself to be a representative for every single student on the UC Davis campus, undergraduate course. So to say that, I don't see any contradiction in the platform of the Smarter Slate versus that of the individual candidates. Vote for Jack Foley, vote for representation for student voices.
Josh?
So building off of the activist question, where's the? Okay, thank you for your question. And I would say one of the important things that's overlooked when it comes to the relationship between ASUCD and activists, as there are many activists in ASUCD, but there's also not much of an overlap. Sometimes think there should be. There are a lot of grassroots movements that are often sponsored by ASUCD, and many people within the organization participate in them, but are not always directly endorsed or supported in the manner that I think they should be. So to answer your original question, I think that ASUCD can play a fundamental role in these protests and these movements and whatever they might be and oftentimes the external portion of your job as a senator is not emphasized. Also, another point of clarification, there are only 2 slates in this election, and the rest of us are either independent, or some variation of independent. So thank you again for your question. I'm an independent candidate, vote Josh Allen for ACC.
Georgia? Okay, hello. I'm Georgia Savage. I'm on the Bay Slate. I just wanted to address originally the reason why Bay Slate came together is because we all do have very similar platforms, and I think they all complement each other very well. For example, I am working with sexual assault prevention, and Kartik is working on also like a sexual assault prevention seminar and just more information. He also wants a Plan B vending machine, and Jack wants to increase free tampons in all the bathrooms, increase condoms. So that's kind of addressing women's health resources. In addition to that, I'm running on increasing mental health resources, and Adila is running on international student resources, and we want to work together in order to provide either translators or actually bilingual counselors so international students can utilize those facilities as well. And we also want international students and people of color more so involved in the hiring processes for our counselors. And in addition to that,
Thank you.
Next we have Miguel.
All right. Good afternoon, Senators. This question is directed particularly towards those from the Smarter candidate slate. Why did you choose the name Smarter? Do you realize the impact that the slate has on certain student communities and the history of successful ASUCD senators who have ran on a similar leading the state?
I can answer that very quickly. We chose the name Smarter because, as many people know, the current slate that is in the ACCD is smart. We thought Smarter was clever for the same reason that Friends Urging Campus Kindness down there decided that name. It's a clever and funny name, and I think that reading any more into it is really distracting from the issues in this campaign.
David?
Also, because we want a smarter and better government that serves students better. Better than smart, we want a smarter student government, and that's why we chose the name Smarter.
Yeah, I actually wanted to respond to that follow-up question from many your slate name condescending and insulting.
If you think that Smarter is condescending,
I'm not. Yeah, that's been a criticism, a valid one, I think, for your slate name choice, and it's more about the negligence of the communities that SMART represents. And Jack, you earlier made a comment about being a fully encompassing candidate. I doubt the veracity of that statement. I just want to hear your thoughts on that, because to many it is a direct condescension to the candidate that SMART represents.
Because I was directly addressed, can I have the opportunity to respond?
Once we call him. It's going to respond now.
Yes? Okay. I wholly resent the idea that I'm not representative of the entire student body campus. I've been involved in student government for over a year now. I've been involved in a variety of clubs across campus. The only thing, in fact, the biggest thing that I am lacking is social activism. The vast majority of the candidates, especially the black candidates on your slate, only represent social activism.
I'm not on a slate.
Oh, excuse me. Well, I apologize then. But I still resent the idea that I'm not a representative candidate. And the idea, again, to be targeting SMARTer but not to be targeting FUCK, I think is wholly unfair. It's just a clever name, and you're distracting the issue.
That was the origin of the intent of the name.
Okay, so we're going to go David, and then who wanted to respond? Georgia, and then Howard respond.
To Josh and anyone else on SMART who's had their feelings hurt.
Again, I'm not affiliated with this.
Yeah. You and anyone else who finds the name condescending, or if we hurt your feelings with our names, I'm very sorry. We just want to have a smarter, better government, and we thought the name Smarter is clever, and that we can deliver a smarter and more representative and a better student government for UC Davis.
So the choice in the naming was in no way related to smart.
No, of course it was related to smart.
Okay, so you
want
want
to
to avoid
smart.
my question then.
I'm not avoiding your question, Josh. What I'm saying is, it's a clever pun on a slate that's already in government. They're smart. We want to be smarter because we want to make ASUC better than it already was.
Can I ask Josh why he's not targeting the Friends Urgent Campus?
Okay, so I'm going to pull that back. So SMARTER stands for Students Matter, Activism, Retention, and Teamwork. And as running for SMARTER, you are, sorry, I'm not supposed to make a statement, but are you implying that you will be working better, or you will be working towards those goals, but in a better way? Didn't you say you didn't want to run on activism, or you didn't want to promote social activism? But if you're gonna run on SMARTER with an ER at the end, you are thereby saying that you want to do more students. You want students to matter more. You want there to be more activism, retention, and teamwork, right?
That's absolutely.
I think that's a pretty good.
Okay, so you are running on social activism. Am I correct?
We're running on representation. Is what
Better
we're running on.
representation.
Representation of the entire student body is what we're running on.
Okay.
And you are reading way too much into a name. And could I ask, please, the wonderful moderator who is choosing to target our slate right now, why she is not going to talk to Friends Urgent Campus Kindness about? I mean, and again, I'm sorry to disparage one.
So I'm going to respond. That's
Totally
because
cool. It's like an awesome
FUCK isn't attacking
I'm sorry,
any
it's
previous.
not offensive?
Yeah, but they're not targeting any previously ran slate or any student communities that are have ran under SMART. So I'm going to give this to Tyler before.
Before I pull my hand off from waving too much. I just wanted to say, not to disparage the discussion we're having here, I do think that focusing on who's condescending whom is a little bit sort of ridiculous. We're kind of getting away from the point of trying to answer the student questions as opposed to oh yeah, you're yelling at me and I'm yelling at you and we all hate each other, because that's absolutely ridiculous for a forum of this nature, and we're all here to just try to help each other out.
Thank you, Tyler. I completely agree, and I want to say that I think the whole purpose of student government
Tyler
is...
respond first. Thank you.
He's actually finished. Can I talk now?
Sure.
I think that we're all here with good intentions to serve the student body, and I actually think it's a little bit ridiculous that we're quibbling over a slate name when ASUC, its entire purpose is to make UC Davis better for the students and to increase the awareness of student government and increase student services and serve students. And I think this is a little bit ridiculous. I agree with Tyler.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Lee. I'm a current ASUCD Senator. So for everyone sitting on this table, you're running to replace my seat. So congratulations for getting this far. My question is targeted to the candidates who are running on CFC reform. As you may or may not know, in the last couple of weeks, I passed a bill to reform CFC to allow clubs to access more money per grant and have a food for grants. It went through the commissions and through the Senate just recently. For those candidates trying to tackle the CFC bureaucracy, would you identify what the constraints of CFC are and what you specifically will do to fix it? Thank you.
Sure. Well, when I started this campaign, I talked to a lot of leaders of clubs, and they told me that they couldn't get funding from CFC to do the things that they wanted to do to benefit student welfare. I applaud you for working with CFC and getting rid of some of the regulations. And when elected senator, I'm going to have to take a look at the new state of CFC after your reforms have gone into place, and then I can have a better idea about how to tackle the bureaucracy.
Puneet? Just a question, have you read through CFC bylaws? Have you talked to CFC members who are on board? Because I'm part of CFC, I'm sitting on board. So, I've never had anyone come up to me and be like, hey, what are things that I can do to make reforms? Or, I've never had any member who's not happy with the funds they've gotten to come talk to the board and say, hey, this isn't what we like. Is there something we can do to change it? Or, or have you talked to Alex and see what he's been doing and stuff like that?
Just directed me? Sure. So to answer your question, I've talked to club leaders, and I think that goes back to the idea of outreach and making CFC more available to the public and leaders of clubs so that they can work with you guys if they do have concerns. And so I don't think that's really a question you should be asking me. I think that's something that we have to do, working with leaders of clubs to see what their concerns are, so that they can talk to you directly.
My question was, have you talked to any of the CMC board members to see why they have these regulations in place?
Not as of yet.
Next we have Nick.
When you guys were talking about platforms earlier, it sounded like a couple candidates brought up this idea that their platforms are driven by students that they're representing, that you're trying to represent their interests. So what I'm wondering is, how are you going to represent students with differing interests? Because there's a few contentious issues that have been brought up, such as Greek life, such as contraception, such as police-student relations. So how will you handle differing opinions in the community? Thanks.
Thank you, Nick, for the question. My platform includes Plan B vending machine, and I've been approached by people who don't share the similar view about pro-life. And I'm actually working with different groups too. I'm meeting with a president for Pro-Life Club at 4:30 today, and to work with them to increase pregnancy resources as well. And I think as a student leader, you should be working with all sides and try to provide the best resources for students, not just focus on your own platform.
Jack?
The answer, at least from where I've been from, is how we're going to represent all students. Well, in my slate, we don't plan to be based in any sort of single particular community. As I've said time and time again, we plan to represent the entire student body. That is how I'll represent, by claiming to represent the entire student body and not being beholden to only the interests of one particular community. Go for Jack, vote for Smarter. Thank you.
Georgia. So I just want to comment off what Jack said, being based in one particular community. I think that was directed at us. I don't think you need to be a part of just one community. I think you can be a part of a multitude of communities. In addition to that, Jack mentioned earlier that, I think it was directed at Base as well, although he also directed it at Josh, that we are all only activists. That's really untrue. Each of us have been club leaders and very much involved in a multitude of communities. We have a club president that was on board as well. And I just want to address that we find ourselves very representative of, although we are a part of very different communities, we find ourselves very representative of a multitude of communities. And I think that's a great question. For my particular platforms regarding sexual assault prevention and mental health resources, these are things that affect all students. The statistics I mentioned earlier, with approximately 1 in 3 females being sexually assaulted before they graduate, as well as 1 out of 6 males being sexually assaulted by the time they reach their 18th birthday. Those statistics are much higher for trans folks, so it represents a lot of communities.
Okay, so up next we have Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben Archman. I'm biased in asking this question first because I used to be the Student Police Relations Committee Chair for ASCCD, as well as the ECD's Police Accountability Board Chair, so I'm biased in asking this about Student Police Relations, so basically I heard Michaela talk a little bit about Student Police Relations, but where does that fit into the rest of your guys' platforms? Student Police Relations is still an issue that's continuing today. I think last week or maybe the week before, there was a protest regarding disarming police officers on campuses around the country. There's issues with student police relations. So how does that tie in going forward if you want to select this? And how will you address the police relations? How will you reverse these relations or go from there?
Okay, within my platform specifically, I do think it's really important to encourage positive police-student relations instead of making it very combative. So I think it's really important to start to work with them. Within my platform specifically, with Greek life relations, I know that when we were on the executive office together, one of the things we wanted to address is that I believe 18 out of the 20 fraternities that year were on probation for various reasons. A lot of them were too many noise complaints. So just to basically work on that relationship and establish something more between the police and the Greek life so that we can better these and get less fraternities on probation. And I really do think it's important to encourage less of a combative role between students and the police force and encourage more of a positive role where they're really there to help the students and students can go to them with any issues they have.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you for your question. That's actually my primary platform, which I'm running on. And as for tangible steps that ASUCD can take to better these relations, I thought a excellent first step, not the be-all and all solution, but a good first step was the series of police community forums that were hosted last year in the York Ballroom, open and accessible for the community. And I think establishing those conversations is the key first step because if we're gonna talk freely about it, it's very divisive. But I found that throughout the course of developing my platform and talking to different in and out groups, different affected groups, just pretty much anyone that has an opinion on the police and on community policing, there is middle ground that can be found. It's not an insurmountable issue to tackle, and I think ASUCD has a great capacity to address it. So, Josh Alba, independent.
Next we have Danny May.
I apologize for my voice. I just had the Students of Color conference this weekend in Madison Rivals. But just to introduce myself to all of you and welcome candidates and thank you for coming out. I know this environment can be very challenging. I am a current AFCC senator who will not be turning out until the end of this winter. And I just want to know with all of the kind of negative energy right now and all the decisiveness, how you are going to be willing to either overcome the differences that you have either between each other or with the current senators while still being the effective, essential, and advocating government that you all hope to contribute to.
Nolan, and then Tyler.
Yeah, thanks for that question. I really appreciate it. And I've seen you at Senate meetings that I've been to. And I'm already trying to work with certain senators that are there right now. And I know some of the senators that are going to be there if I get elected. And I think it's important to be able to work together. And that's one of the reasons I chose an independent slate. I talked with some of the candidates about it and I was looking at the different slates. But I chose to run an independent because I think it's important no matter who gets elected, you have to be able to work together and work with the issues that are going to be going on tonight. And even though things get heated, you have to really keep students focused. And that's why I'm running a student-focused campaign. I'm talking to students and constantly being out there looking at different ways we can improve the student body here on campus. And so, yeah, just the character that I have, I believe I'm willing to work with others. I'm really open-minded about things, and I'm totally driven to getting the job done. So once again, my name is Nolan Matter, and your voice matters.
Tyler.
I'm going to say this is kind of a bad answer to this question, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is sort of the great dialectical paradigm of any sort of group of politicians, right? The idea being that you don't want everybody on one slate to be in that room so you're all voting on exactly the same things. The problem is when you start diversifying and you have a ton of different people with completely different views, they're not going to get along at all. But I think the difference, or at least the thing you would hope for, is that once you get in the room with these people and you're supposed to be friends with them, you can at least be friends with them on a character-building way and respect their opinions. And I think it's more important that you learn to respect them as opposed to, I think, a little bit of what we're doing here today, hopefully reeling back on that as it seems to happen now. Yeah, kind of a bad answer, but I do think that the optimism in me will tell you that once you get everybody in a room, they'll be able to get along, at least on basis of character and respect, if not they don't necessarily believe in there.
Okay, so sorry if I said that you could speak, but we just want to get through the list. So next we have Anna.
Certain candidate platforms are similar, if not identical, to issues on platforms that previously elected senators. Where do you think this lack of communication stems from, and what would you do to promote transparency of this issue?
Jeff?
I don't think it's a lack of transparency or lack of communication. I think it stems from ongoing issues. For instance, I'm running for increasing club funding. That's always going to be an issue. Clubs are always going to feel like they want more money. You know, we as student government are always going to have to find ways to help increase resources for the great and amazing variety of student clubs we have on campus. It's not like you can just put a Band-Aid on something and declare it done. It's over. It's fixed forever. these are issues you've got to keep going on. So I'm very happy about the fact that I know many senators before me have prioritized this club funding goal, and I hope that many senators after will continue to prioritize this club funding goal. I think that maintaining this goal is extremely important.
Hello. Hello again. My name is Georgia Savage. I think a lot of people have run on the platform of sexual assault, specifically Jane May, where she is. But I think that doesn't mean that we don't have new ideas. Sexual assault, obviously, and the preventative efforts that we take in order to make sure our campus is as safe as possible, there's never too much of that. And proposing new ways and new ideas to both inform people about sexual assault as well as take steps for prevention is necessary and a continuous issue that we need to keep addressing. So for me particularly, I want to bring campaign B to UC Davis, and that hasn't been proposed before. That's 13 demands to our administration on how to make this space safer that has not been addressed yet. So while I recognize and definitely praise anyone who's done and taken the steps necessary to lay the groundwork in order to make this space safe for survivors and for prevention, we also need to continue working on this issue and propose new ways in order to make this campus as safe as possible.
Thank you. Next we have Andrew Aspen.
Aggie community. However, I only heard one candidate address this issue. And in all honesty, as a freshman student, I wouldn't have known about ASUCD if it wasn't for Senator Alex Lee. Randomly going into orientation and talking to us about ASUCD. So, as a senator, how do you all plan to reach out to these communities and make them engaged in the process?
We'll have Partik and then Nicholas.
Hello again, my name is Partik. I think most students are part of the club, like I mentioned before, but Nolan himself just came in as part of the Aggie active mind, and I feel like the way that I would approach it is going to club meetings and presenting there, and going to focusing more on orientation and tabling that ASUCD still does with Lauren and everyone. My answer to you is club meetings, general meetings, attending those, presenting there, talking to transfer and any students there.
Going off of what Partik said, I do think that targeting orientation is a really good idea. I worked with Georgia Orientation a couple years ago, and they do have specific orientations that are only transfer students. So really maybe putting on more programs for them. We do have those connections in orientation already, so it would be a relatively feasible thing for us to work with. And then also just targeting them more during Welcome Week. Most of them do live in specific housing in colleges, and there's an apartment complex in downtown Davis where a lot of them live, and I think maybe going to them down there and letting them know more of the resources that ASUCD does have to offer, because I think that they're a very valuable part of our campus community, and unfortunately they are underrepresented in ASUCD, so I really do think it's important to start to implement programs that engage them as well, and I think several of us on the table right here would be able to do a very good job of that.
Easy, can I answer this question being the only transfer on this panel? Yeah, I really appreciate that question, and we bring up a lot of important issues here today, and I think there's a lot of great support that we have for different communities here on campus, but I like you brought up the fact that transfers are 25% of the student population, and if you do a little research and go online on the Davis website, there's dozens of pages that tell transfer students how to be successfully tagged in Davis or how to successfully get here, but there's not a lot of resources that tell transfer students how to be successful once they're here. So that's why I've been working with transfer senators right now, and we're actually, like I mentioned before, the bill that we're getting passed through to create a transfer committee to actually ramp up the resources that we have here for transfer students, and that's why I want to be the voice for transfer students. I know where they're coming from as a transfer student myself, only being here 7 weeks, and I know the potential that this committee, if it passes, will have in helping the transfer student body here at Davis. So I just think that's definitely something to think about. Vote Nolan matter, because your voice does matter. The transfer students matter.
Thank you. Next we have Joe.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Joe. I'm the chair of the External Affairs Commission, and I hope you all know what that is. What's a question, or excuse me, what's an issue that you believe that students face externally, and how do you plan on addressing it?
Anybody wants to answer the question?
What's an issue that you believe affects students externally, like, you know, at the city, statewide, UC level, anything like that? And how do you plan on addressing it?
Georgia, and then Josh.
I think this goes back to the question of activism as well. You just referenced city, statewide level. A lot of the time, the bills being passed on like a national or even a local level that could affect them at UC Davis. So specifically working with students to increase our lobbying efforts and increase our activism efforts in order to make sure that the bills passing are, you know, positive and for UC Davis campus and for UC Davis students and will affect us in a positive manner. And also that we are taking steps to have our voice heard as UC Davis students on the city, local, and national level.
So as far as external issues go, I think one of the big ones of our time is voter registration and the dismally low levels of voter registration that we have on the country today in young people. And just for a little background on myself, last year I helped develop a lobby board curriculum through my capacity as a director in OASR, the Office of Advocacy and Student Representation. What that means is that we've developed a curriculum for everyday students who have never lobbied before or gone to the Capitol or done anything politically at all. And we were able to equip these students with the tools to reach out to their state legislators, to their assembly people, and to affect change at that level. And that in turn spurred a lot of people to want to register to vote as well. And that was all done throughout ASUCD, so this is a very tangible goal, and thank you for all the work that you guys. Thank you for your question. Josh, Al.
Now we're going to have one last question from Jason.
Okay, for the final question, we're just going to start at the end and go down the line, and everyone's going to answer this question. We're starting with Tyler. Why do you need to be a senator to accomplish your platforms?
Honestly, I don't think it's necessary. I think that being a senator helps you pass the legislation, but regardless, I'm going to be doing my best to work for advocacy and other student groups anyway. I'm a member of the Holler Festival. I'm the Car Patrol Director this year. I'm literally like 10 feet away from the office of Project Compost. I think a lot of these goals are things that you can fight for, any of us could fight for, without needing to be a senator. I think the idea is that you desire it so badly that you would like to be a senator because you think you'll have more pull. But if you know the senators and they're willing to be transparent with you and you have accessibility to them, I think that's way more important. And I don't need to be a senator to get these things done because I'm a student here and my voice should matter.
Hi, I'm Adela. I actually agree with that, but I agree with the way that he says that we don't need to be senators, but we would like to because there's this desire to see through these goals and to represent the students that believe in us to do the right things for them and to do right by them. Personally, for me, I want to be a senator because I feel that more international students should be aware of ACD and what contributions that we can make to the student body. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Adam. That is a pretty good question. So I don't think actually senator matters. I think it's what actually we are that matters. It can be Senator Adela, it can be Senator Tyler, it can be Senator me, Senator Adam, it doesn't matter. I mean, as a senator, I think it's just like we're doing what people ask us, what people hope to do. So we're a group of people. I'm an international student. I represent an international student. That's what because it's pretty sad, because when I talk with my folks, and I said, whoa, I'm actually on campaign about ASU City Senator. And the first question they asked me is, what is ASU City? So, what is ASU City? I asked myself, what is ASU City? Why I want to be a senator? Because ASU City is actually a place that helps Aggies, because we are all part of ASU City. We are all Aggies, no matter if you know or you don't. We're already in this group.
I'm sorry,
So,
I have to
okay.
stop you.
I'm sorry.
Finish,
Thank you.
finish your thought with one sentence and then we'll move on.
Go Aggies. Thank you.
Hello again, my name is Pratik. I think being a senator does help with your platform. It just increases your resources and networking. Like being a senator, working with other organizations such as Student Housing, Student Health Enrollment Center, they definitely take you more seriously. If you're a senator, because you're representing the students than as a normal student. I'm a club leader. I'm speaking from personal experience on this. How it will help my platform is that some of my platforms do require a resolution to ASU City Senate, such as passing a resolution to increase sexual health resources. So Student Health Enrollment Center takes us more seriously. So to wrap it up, being a senator increases your resources, networks, and trains you on how to write bills and resolutions and actually push for them, advocate for them. Thank you.
So for those who are saying that they don't need to be a senator in order to accomplish their goals, that's all well and good, but I believe that I do need to be a senator to accomplish my goals. And the reason for that is this. As I've said time and time again, I don't claim to represent any single community, though every single community has its own valid interests, which are noble and good. I want to represent the entire UC Davis campus. I can't go to any one single club and say, okay, now I'm checking with you, I'm touching base with you, I'm representing your interest, because the one club that represents all of UC Davis is the student government. I mean, not club, but you understand what I'm trying to say. So, if you want someone who's going to represent the entire student government, the entire student body, if you want to make student government beholden to students, if you want representation in student government, vote for Jack Foley for ACCD Student Senator.
Well, when you look at things that I've done and all the things that I will continue to do, they have always been in the service for others. So when I hear people around campus talking about problems, what I see are opportunities. Opportunities on how to make this campus a better place. So why do I want to represent it? I want to represent it to continue to carry the torch, to continue to implement policies that are going to help students, not for the year or two that we're here, but that's going to benefit student life for years to come.
Once again, my name is Noel Matter, and what I'm hearing is, does being a senator matter? I hope that everybody at this panel, whether they get elected or not, still decides to be involved and active in whether it's ASUC or the clubs, because we need more people on campus who actually care about the students. But does being a senator matter? I think it does. I think it's really important, especially for the platforms that I'm trying to accomplish, that being a senator gives me those resources, like Pratik was talking about, to actually get the things done. And representing students, especially transfers, I think is really important, and you have to have somebody who actually knows what's going on with transfer students. And being a transfer student, I have firsthand experience with that. So once again, being a senator does matter, and your vote does matter, and your voice does matter. So vote Nolan Matter.
And hello, I'm Lena Yola, and the reason I'm running for ASUCD is because UC Davis is going to become a Hispanic Serving Institute, and I think it's really important for the Chilac community to be represented in Senate. Right now, there is currently one Chilac senator, whose name is Andrea Velasquez, and she will be terming out, and I am her chief of staff, and I believe it's really important and critical for this position to still be a Chilac senator, because Chilac folks have one of the lowest retention rates on campus, and their voice needs to be heard when every legislation goes through, when funding is allocated, and a lot of the struggles that the Chilac community faces is similar to other communities as well. And that's where my platforms derive from supporting my community.
Hi everyone, I'm Georgia Savage, running on Base Lake, and I think there's been a lot of talk whether Senate or being a senator matters or not. I think you can accomplish a lot without Senate. I myself am chair of CCRT and have run a sexual assault prevention campaign already. So a lot of us have been involved with clubs or Senate without directly being a senator and making a positive impact on this campus. However, I urge you to look at the people who have done this and have taken steps to make this campus better, because by voting them as senator, you're giving them more resources, a greater capacity to do good on this campus. So by being a senator myself, and I think I speak for everyone else, you're just giving them a greater capacity and a greater platform to accomplish good things and make this campus safer and more representative of students.
Hey everyone, Josh Alvon, independent, and I think for certain things it is important to be an ASU student side. Certain issues, that title carries weight where others do not. A lot of it's navigating administration, bureaucracy, and stuff like that that comes with the title. But I also think, as many of the other candidates have referenced, you do not need to be a senator to accomplish many of the platforms that are presented. I mean, every day, grassroots organizers that do incredible work. Every day we have grassroots organizers that don't even know what ASUCD is, that do incredible work. So no, I don't think it's essential to accomplishing a lot of the platforms that have been presented here today. But I do think the important question to keep in mind is who should and should not be a senator. I think there are a fair amount of people here right now who should be and a fair amount who shouldn't be. I think that's the ultimate decision when it comes to your vote. And I think you want to vote for someone that is connected to the most groups and that you think can serve your voice the best across many different spectrums. So thank you, and vote Josh Alvon for ASUCD Senate.
Hi everyone, my name is David Belcher and I'm running for ASUCD Senate with the Smarter Slate. The reason that I'm running for ASUCD Senate is that I want to make UC Davis the best school it can possibly be. And I think that being a senator is the best way to do that. Being a senator is the best way to accomplish my platforms because it will give me access to resources like the budget, which the Senate passes, so that I can bring more resources to students and make ASUCD better serve students. And so that's why I'm running for Senate. I do think it is necessary. And so vote smarter for a better, more representative student government. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Jacqueline Obeid. I'm on the base slate. I do have a student activist background, so sometimes we don't really need ASUCD, but it is an asset. This Thursday, there's the Million Student March, which we should all be at because it affects every single one of us. We're still regarding the tuition hike. Last year, Regents proposed a tuition hike, and that we're students, we go here, it affects us. But being a senator, having that title, admin definitely takes you more seriously. They will open your email. They'll take your ideas, opinions more seriously. You have access to committees, ASUCD committees. You can create committees. So I would be able to accomplish my platforms, definitely being a senator. Entertainment Council, bring a little bit to campus, getting tampons in the bathrooms, getting better quality condoms, getting Wi-Fi hotspots more so that our Wi-Fi connectivity is better, and getting a printer in the 24-hour room. Yeah, becoming a senator is definitely essential. Jacqueline Obeid, vote based, stay based.
Hi everyone again. So as a reminder, my name is Michaela Tenner. So I do think that although you can accomplish to a certain extent things that you want to on this campus without being a senator, I also do think it is really essential to be a senator and have these big ideas and have the experience to get them implemented. Because it just does give you more access to people who take you more seriously. It gives you access to the committees and commissions. It gives you the ability to help sponsor bills through Senate. And overall, I think it just makes your ideas a lot more feasible. And I think I'd really be an asset to the Senate table because along with my platforms, I do have 3 years in the organization and I really do understand how to get things passed, how to work with people in the organization, and I really do understand a lot about the budget and the organization of ASUCD as a whole. So that is why I'd like to be your next senator. So vote Michaela Tenner for number 1 for the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The debate is over. And if you want to support your chosen candidates, please vote at elections.ucdavis.edu. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for coming.